Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Celtics Talk Radio live video chat. This is episode number 45. Today we are recapping the final result and final place of the USA basketball team at the World Cup in China 2019, and also we will give you the recap of the four Celtics players final edition at the World Cup. What did they do at the World Cup? What they didn't do? Are they healthy? Are they satisfied with the World Cup? Is the USA nation satisfied with the way the Celtics players played, and that kind of stuff? Let me start with information that USA team today defeated Poland, and that way they won the 7th position in the World Cup China. This is the worst. They defeated Poland 87-74. This is officially the worst place, the worst position in say history of playing in the World Cup. This team, this position number 7, is historically low. So, I mean, we will discuss about the reasons for that. Okay, I can say that against the Poland, the Team USA won the game and won the 7th place at the World Cup in China. Here is the statistics of the USA players at the game against the Poland. Donovan Mitchell, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 10 assists, double-double. Joe Harris, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Chris Middleton, 13 points, 6 rebounds and 6 assists. Derek White, 12 points, 2 rebounds and 7 assists. Harrison Barnes, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Jaylen Brown, 8 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Miles Turner, 7 points, 8 assists. Miles Plumlee, 4 points, 3 assists. Brook Lopez, 3 points, 1 assist. This is the statistics of the USA players at the last game in World Cup against the Poland. Daniel, a lot of things happened. You know, during the World Cup with the USA team, and a lot of things influenced that USA team reached the historic low on the World Cup. Let's say that way. We have the statements from USA officials, and I will try to find it. For example, I have the reaction of ULEB president, let's say that way, Giorgi Bertomeu. This is the ULEB is EuroLeague honor. EuroLeague honor. EuroLeague is the best competition after NBA club competition in the world. So Giorgi Bertomeu criticized organizational system of FIBA And he said that practically FIBA calendar is totally wrong in every competition. Every national teams qualifying windows for World Cup, those windows are unnecessary and long, and World Cup is moved 1 year before the Olympics, and that is the reason why many players, including USA stars, didn't play. Jordi Bertomeu said FIBA should be honest and reconsider their decisions and looking forward to how many players quit on playing on the World Cup for their teams. I will try to find the statements from David Stern and Jerry Colangelo, USA officials, about the World Cup. Daniel, your first impressions about the World Cup, particularly USA on the World Cup. We'll talk a little about the other teams, including my Serbia, but we are focused on USA.
Well, I think, as he mentioned, one of the critical reasons why the USA team is not going as far as we would have hoped this year is the fact that they virtually didn't have any superstars on this team. And we're talking the major superstars in this league. You did have
top 30. Practically top 30 players didn't play. Top 30 American players. The two top 5 players that play on this World Cup were Greece star Giannis Antetokounmpo, MVP of the league. He didn't play well, and his team was eliminated. And the second one was Jokic from Serbia. He didn't play well, and his team was eliminated. It doesn't mean that those players are bad players, but it just means that their teams didn't use them properly, But from American players, the player with highest rating, I think, is Kemba Walker, the Celtics player who is, let's say, 15th player in the NBA.
Exactly. We didn't have a team loaded with superstars like we've had in the past, tournaments like this. We didn't have, LeBron. We didn't have Durant. We didn't have the Currys, the Carmelos and all that like we've seen and been accustomed to when it came to all the gold medals being won and all of that, and that's been the major difference. Of course, there was a few other issues, several players going down with injuries, and Greg Popovich, took into consideration, the fact that these guys are also, considering trying to win an NBA championship this year for their cities where they're representing. So, he didn't force any of those guys to really try and push it to the limit for this tournament in this case, because really, what is this tournament really bringing these guys other than practice and the chance to try and gel with their teammates, especially when you consider the 4 guys from the Celtics in this situation in Jaylen Brown, Walker, Marcus Smart, and Jayson Tatum. So this tournament really doesn't mean much for some of these guys, when it comes to the United States players. It's a different story for some of these guys from the other countries and all of that. But really, if we would have seen some of these big-time players like LeBron and all that on the U.S. team, this would have been a totally different situation, and we probably would have seen the U.S. walking away with a win.
I totally agree.
So I really am not stressing the fact that we didn't come away with a victory in this tournament. This tournament, in my opinion, was more about trying to see some of these guys for the Boston Celtics, try and get some more extra time together and trying to see what we can hopefully see this season, trying to see the 4 guys, because these 4 guys that were on this U.S. team are going to be the leaders of the Boston Celtics alongside Gordon Hayward, in my opinion, in this situation. And so this was kind of, I guess you can kind of say this would be their first test, in my opinion. What were they going to be able to show us? Of course, it's unfortunate that out here in the United States, this type of tournament was not aired on television, so you had to get ESPN Plus and all that in order to be able to watch it on the internet.
Yeah.
So some people really don't want to go the route of spending money for that. But we did see some positives out of some games in this situation. Kemba Walker in some of these games was absolutely outstanding in my opinion. There wasn't, a few games where Jayson Tatum looked great. Had one game where Jaylen Brown completely dominated. Was just dunking left and right on players. It would have been good if we could have seen Gordon Hayward in this tournament and see what he would have looked like. But training camp is right around the corner in this situation. So fans should be a little bit excited with what we saw in this tournament from the 4 Celtic players in this situation. And I'm happy with what we got in this situation, Igor, from these 4 guys. There's a few things you can say that you can be a little bit concerned with, like Jayson Tatum still missing free throws in clutch situations and putting the team in a bad situation, But there was more positivity that came out of this tournament than negatives, in my opinion, and that's a positive thing.
Now, I don't know the exact reactions in your country. I mean, I know some reactions. I read the reactions of Jordi Bertomeu. I found the reaction of David Stern, ex-legendary NBA commissioner and very important person in USA basketball and basketball in general. He also, similar to Jordi Bertomeu from ULEB organization, Jordi Bertomeu, also criticized the FIBA for the way they are organizing the players, the calendars, and their competitions. So I'm going to read what David Stern said. At least I thought I had it, but I will find it very easy. So also, like I said, Jerry Colangelo, the director of the USA national basketball team, talk about the World Cup. Former NBA commissioner David Stern, FIBA made mistake moving the World Cup into odd years. Former NBA commissioner David Stern said he believes that the reason so many NBA stars withdrew from joining USA team for 2019 World Cup was the fact that they didn't want to play back-in-back summer tournaments, considering that 2020 year is the Olympic year. Here is what Stern said to The Undefeated. The interview published prior to Team USA loss from the France in quarter-finals. What is your take on notable players dropping out on the World Cup team? David Stern, FIBA made mistake moving the World Cup into odd years. As a result, you're asking the players to play in the FIBA World Championship, to play in the season, and then to play in the Olympics. And I think that pushed a lot of players to feel that they should make a choice between back-to-back years of international competition, and that is all. I actually love the idea that there are a bunch of young players that are playing in the World Cup. I hope they win, but I think they will. And I think he thought that USA team will win the World Cup, David Stern. and also he thought it's exciting to see the young players step out and be recognized. So, Daniel, couple of things. At the one side, David Stern criticized FIBA for the calendar, similar to Jordi Bertomeu. And on the other side, you know that he is glad that young players are playing for USA team. Kind of contradiction, don't you think, in this statement?
Well, in a way, he's trying to say basically that if you think about it, the World Cup is not in the same league as the Olympics themselves. The two things are nowhere in the same league when it comes to FIBA, the FIBA World Cup, and the Olympics. You know, anybody that's an athlete in any sort of category, whether you're talking, you know, the basketball, gymnastics, swimming, and all that. If you think about it, the Olympics are the main thing you're aiming for. You know, so if you have to, you know, choose to compete in one thing, it's going to be in the Olympics. And so if you're FIBA, to put yourself in a position where you got to have NBA players like LeBron and all of them have to decide, okay, do I go to try and win a gold medal in the Olympics next year, or do I go and try to basically win an Olympic gold, you know, a gold medal or a trophy inside the FIBA World Cup this year, knowing that I have to then play to try and win a championship for my team, whatever team it's going to be this year, and then try and then realize I probably ain't going to have the energy to then go to the Olympics next year. You know, none of these players are going to go the route of saying, okay, FIBA, I'm going to give you my talents, especially knowing that, you know, as I said earlier, Igor, nobody's going to get to see it on TV. The Olympics are always put up on TV in all these countries, especially here in the USA, so the people are able to root on. Think about it. The Olympics are probably the only time you see me rooting for LeBron James and all these players, regardless of what team they represent during the NBA season in this situation. I do not care what color you represent during the NBA season. As long as you represent the Americans, that's the time I root for you in this situation. So I agree with what Stern in this situation is saying there. And then also what he's saying about the young people. He's basically trying to say they're getting the opportunity to basically get a taste of what it's going to be like in a few years for them. Because we all know LeBron James only has a couple years before he's out the door in this situation. Once LeBron James is out the door, same thing with some of these other guys that are right behind him. That's when guys like Tatum, Brown, you know, Marcus Smart and all of them are going to start being the ones you would see taking over. Same thing with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Of course, Giannis wouldn't represent the USA. He's representing the country he's from. But we got to see a taste of it, you know, within the last few weeks here. These guys are getting a taste of what it's like to basically represent their countries in FIBA. Soon they're going to have to start doing it in the actual Olympics themselves. It's just going to be that the stakes are going to be raised even more once that takes place. Because now, as I said, the Olympics are the biggest stage of all. You think it's tough trying to win an NBA championship just representing your city? Imagine representing the entire country where everybody's behind you now. And so you have the entire country basically banking on you to try and bring home the gold medal in this situation. So FIBA is just giving you a chance to get the experience you need for when you're ready to take it to the big leagues at that point. So in a way, FIBA is basically helping these guys to get the experience they need for when guys like LeBron and all of them are ready to say, fine, we're ready to move over and let you guys take over for us in this situation because we ain't got it anymore and we're ready to basically say we're quitting because our batteries are finally out of juice. So I think that's what David Stern is trying to say. It's good to see these guys getting the experience now because they're going to need that experience in a few years because those years are starting to come. The clock is ticking and the days are getting shorter.
Right. Great stuff, Daniel. I have angry statement of Jerry Colangelo, and again I have to refind it. Jerry Colangelo said that Team USA chief Jerry Colangelo says that he will remember the players that didn't show up at the World Cup FIBA. So Jerry Colangelo said that he will remember the players that didn't show up in FIBA World Cup. He expressed his unhappiness with plethora of players that decided not to participate in the tournament. Out of 35 NBA players that were initially selected in the USA players pool, only 4 players ended in the final roster, just like I said, as a result. And the Team USA have lost. The team has lost from France and Serbia in 2 consecutive games in 3 days and failed to win the medal. I can only say you can't help but notice and remember who you thought you were going to in the war with and who didn't show up. Jerry Colangelo said, ESPN, I am firm that you deal with the cards you're dealt. And done it, and we did it, is get the commitments from a lot of players. So with that kind of hand, you feel reasonably confident that you're going to be able to put a very good representative team on the court. No one would have anticipated the pullouts that we had. Colangelo emphasized that the players that didn't participate in the World Cup have his complete respect, but that the roster was limited from the beginning due to the all of the dropouts. The players did everything they can and they can do. The team are the good group of guys, but we went in with higher expectations in terms of roster, and it didn't kind of happen the way we hoped and anticipated and expected. To me, that was big disappointment. For what is worth, Greg Popovich, the coach, refused to use the lack of participation as an excuse from the team's loss to France. I think it's this disrespectful notion to every even bring something like that. Well, hey, you guys didn't have this guy or that guy. That's disrespectful to France or the tournament. France beat us, and it doesn't matter who was on our or their team. I couldn't be more proud of these 12 guys who sacrificed their summer for the national team, and France deserved credit to win. It's not about, well, the United States didn't have their own guys. United States expect Tokyo Olympics, and they are qualified for the Olympics. We are going to let the dust settle, Colangelo said. Obviously, I am always looking ahead, which means that what's going at the place, and it's going to happen fast and soon because we just have to get our act together. Going forward for USA basketball, we are going to need the cooperation of the teams, agents, and the players, and to better communicate with the players one-on-one to solidify the commitments. I'm going to be anxious to see how many players reached out to indicate that they wish and want to play. So I will make the statement. It's much more maybe who we don't want as much as who we want. Following that way, the World Cup turned out, it will be extremely interesting to see which players will participate in the USA Olympic Olympic camp the next summer. Daniel, did this sound to you like a treat to the players that didn't show up in this World Cup from Jericho Angelo?
Yeah, it does sound like he's giving them a threat. Like, if you're not, basically, you didn't show up this time around, so why in the world should I give you the right to play in the Olympics? But brother, if that's the case, you better be prepared, basically, to say that you're not going to win the Olympics next time around. And last time I checked, Americans want to win the Olympics. You know, you talk about, winning a Super Bowl, winning an NBA championship, winning a World Series, winning a Stanley Cup. The fans in this country, we're crazy about our sports. And so winning a gold medal, when it comes to the USA basketball team, that brother, he may not be crazy about it, but forget it. We are in this situation. So if we're talking about getting LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and all that on our team, and we find out you're the one not letting them on just because they didn't show up for a FIBA World Cup in this situation, brother, you better be ready to leave the country in this situation, because there's going to be a couple thousand fans chasing your behind outside to the borders in this case if they find out you're not letting them on. That's the way they're going to treat the situation if they find out you're not letting those brothers play. So that's the way this brother better be thinking about it. I do not know how crazy someone can be to think I'm not letting someone like that play, all because they didn't show up for a FIBA World Cup. Come on, look at the team the Americans were having to play in this competition. There was only a few teams, Igor, based on what the analysts were saying, that really had a chance to knock off the American team in this tournament. As you and me were even saying on our Celtics Talk radio shows, only the teams that went big really had a chance to beat the American teams.
Absolutely.
And sure enough, we ended up running into one that ended up knocking us off when it mattered most. The American
actually two teams, but that's what I want to talk in the next segment. Go on, thanks.
But it took one of those teams that ended up basically knocking us off. We were undefeated until that ended up happening. So how can you
78 games, 75 games, something like that, yes.
How can you go nuts and making threats like that if basically you think about it, you guys are part of the coaching staff. You guys are the ones that are supposed to get these guys prepared for something like that, knowing it's your biggest weakness. You, Greg Popovich, who's supposed to be the best coach in the world, and yet you couldn't do nothing to actually prevent the issue.
We will question, we will dare here in this show, and especially in the Celtics Talk Radio show, to question Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich famous tactics. And we have fantastic videos, audios for you, dear listeners and viewers, that will prove our thesis here, Daniel and mine, that bad result of the USA team was not caused only by lack of talent, because this is talented team. This team consists of 12 NBA players, right? The other teams have 4, 5, 6 top NBA players, but USA team is the only team that have 12 NBA players. Average, below average, but NBA players, right? So the lack of talent is not the only reason why USA team lost from France and Serbia. Okay, Serbia game, it was, how to say, what is the word? not important game, and USA team played that game because they had to play that game. You know, if USA team could just stay home, I'm sure that they would not play that game against Serbia. You know, and for some reasons, Serbia, had approached that game means something, you know, despite actually that game didn't mean actually nothing to both Serbia and USA, because from Serbia, USA already qualified automatically in Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. Now, that game didn't mean fifth place. Serbia is fifth officially, but we didn't qualify on the Olympics automatically because the two selections from Europe are better than us. Those selections are France and Spain. So France and Spain from this World Cup from Europe qualified on Olympics. So I was trying to say that only valid loss was from France, you know. Serbia won it, and again, USA team practically didn't have any reason to compete because they already qualified in Olympic tournament Tokyo 2020. Serbia, on the other hand, also didn't have the reason to compete because even with the fifth place, the Serbia could not qualify automatically for the Olympic Games, you know, because from Europe, the France and the Spain that are top four teams, they already qualified in the Olympic tournament in Tokyo 2020. America qualified for Tokyo automatically, so that game between that Serbia won actually that didn't mean anything. It was real, just like a friendly match. But again, Serbia won that game. But to concentrate, Daniel, analyzing why America, USA team, why did they lose from France, the quarterfinals? Because that was the key game for them, elimination game that actually left USA team without the medal on the World Cup. So let's start by analyzing that loss from France. I asked you, Danny, what you started talking about Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr tactics, and we will make parallel between the USA Celtics team in the next stage.
Well, again, the two of them are two of the top coaches in the league in this situation. But when you think about it, Igor, what have those two had pretty much throughout their entire coaching career to lean on that has always come into play? They've always had, in a way, during their major success, superstars. Now, I know people would say maybe not top 5 superstars, top 10, but stars that you could say have always been viewed as big time players, guys who make the sacrifices and all that. You got Curry, Green, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, who of course now is in Brooklyn, with Kerr and Golden State, and then you had Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, and all that, and Kawhi down in San Antonio for Popovich. So during this event, you had a competition with these guys having to have competitors that really you have no experience with for the most part in this situation. Really, none of them are superstars for the most part in terms of top 5 or top 10. And a lot of them, as you mentioned, Igor, are young. Guys who you and me have said in most cases, a lot of them are looking for the spotlight. And how many of them have I said before, especially in this case, you and me made the argument many times this year with some of them, how many of them were looking to make a statement that they could be a top 5, top 10 at the expense of their teams at times throughout the season. This year, during this competition, we did see a few things that we could say, look promising. During this game against the game against France, I got the stats here. We did see in this situation that there was no game for Tatum. He didn't play at all due to an injury in this situation, so we really can't say nothing against him. You had only 4 minutes for Brook Lopez, 1 minute for Mason Plumlee. Kemba Walker didn't really have a good game. He only scored 10 points in this game in 25 minutes. 11 points for Marcus Smart in 22 minutes. Jaylen Brown scored 9 points in 22 minutes. So our guys didn't really do that great. The only guy who really had a good game in this game was Donovan Mitchell, 29 points in 31 minutes. Really, what type of game plan? You telling me the two of the best coaches in the league, arguably the two best with the way everybody talks about them, and you couldn't find another way to get anybody else hot other than Donovan Mitchell? Somebody else, anybody else, only Donovan. This game literally sounds like LeBron James in Cleveland. One guy getting the ball on every possession. He's the one driving to the rim every possession, getting easy layups. Everybody else stays on the outside. That's the way this literally sounds based on the way you look at the box score. I feel sorry for those two because you could almost say, what the heck will happen to those two the moment you don't have any superstars on your team?
I think actually, Daniel, that this game is proof of your and my thesis that the small ball doesn't work. Small ball was actually the killer of this USA team. Small ball was the killer of the Celtics' playoff hopes, and I'm afraid that the small ball will be again the killer of the Celtics' playoff hopes if Brad Stevens continues to put those ultra small lineups just like Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr. Okay, I must explain that further. I have here from. I hope that my audio is well. From our friend Andrew Vernon, we will invite him, of course, on the show again. I just want to caveat my Team USA posts. I am no way questioning the talent on the Celtics roster. Between Tatum, Brown, Walker, Williams, and Edwards, Hayward, we have tons of talent. The issue is that so does everybody else. As Coach Stevens said, there aren't really any bad players in the NBA. Every team has talent. It's a question of whether or not players play to that talent level. Personally, I think Kemba Walker is a little bit overrated. I think his number got buffed by being only talented scorer in Charlotte, and team lacked another option. Charlotte ran Kemba Walker with sky-high usage I've ever seen anything, and I've never seen anything to convince me that Kemba shows how to contribute with the ball in his hands. Franz suggested that he doesn't know. On the other hand, I think a lot of people sleeping on Hayward. Hayward struggled individually, but he knows how to space out, how to pass the ball. We have Jaylen Brown, who I think will be the key of Boston's success in contract year. I feel like this year we are going to learn whether Jaylen Brown is the next Paul George, Kawhi, or next Andrew Wiggins. Looking in the next season, I am worried that the Celtics are in a weird spot because we have built a team that is designed to play the small ball because we have plethora of guards and wings, but no big with the starting caliber player. On the other hand, I seriously question whether our players are capable of playing the small ball. And this is the key that I'm repeating in every single show. But I will, because the Celtics fans are claiming the opposite. And majority of writers. To be successful in small ball, you need to play with skill and pace. The Celtics just don't have that. Kemba Walker, career 36% shooter from behind the arc, and career 42% overall. Steph Curry, career 44% shooter for 3, and Klay Thompson, career 42% for 3. This is huge differential. This is why small ball works for the Warriors, and Steph and Klay both hit pointers at higher rate when Kemba Walker sinks, shoots, period. The Golden State Warriors also roster Draymond Green, unique defensive talent who can sprint the floor with the guards and still challenge bigs in the paint. Notably, even with this lineup prior to getting to the Kevin Durant, the Warriors also ran more traditional lineups with athletic bigs and classic centers. The Celtics have no similar talent. Our best bet would be to run with big, likely Cantor or Tice. The issue is that neither are caliber starting center. Cantor never played starters minutes whole season, last season, primarily because of his defense. Tice is a skilled defender, but he gets bullied by bigger centers. Poirier is untried and unseen in the NBA level. Time Lord is the best potential in the center position. Grant Williams could develop into Draymond-type defender, but he is likely years away. In other words, we have a roster constructed to play small ball a la Warriors, but without the shooting talent to pull that off. Notably, the Warriors also have Klay, who has been one of the best perimeter knocking down the shooter. And Klay also is uniquely selfless scorer who can take purely defensive role and score the 20 points in the period. The Celtics here barely are lucky if we have one wing to score 20 points in the game. We are the team designed to play fast-paced, small ball basketball, but we lack of shooters to make that truly viable for championship run. It didn't work last year with Kyrie, who is one of the best offensive talents in the game. I'm not sure why we think it will work better with Kemba Walker. Walker has always been low passing, shoot first guard. That's what we dealt with the last 2 years. And in the off season, I said that we never put in bets our issues. We exchange the shoot first guard with the shoot first guard. We still have log jam of wings that expect to prove themselves. And we saw nothing behind the doubts and learned to trust each other. This came back again with the Team USA. Walker went full Kyrie Irving against the France, trying to win single-handedly. Mitchell had the hot hand. Tatum was decent, but far from superstar level. Brown had never had some good games and then disappeared at times. Just like last year's Celtics, this year's USA failed when it mattered. Daniel, are you afraid of the small ball scare? Let's put that way.
We kind of saw it earlier, or should I say, last season. How many times did Brad Stevens fall in love with the small ball and put it in there during a game where we were facing a team that was going super big, and we ended up getting our behinds kicked? We couldn't get a damn rebound when we needed it. You know, the other team basically seemed like it was keeping us on their side of the court because they kept getting offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offensive rebound in this situation. It felt like we were on their side of the court the entire quarter in this situation, and you were thinking, like, boy, can somebody give Joel Embiid a kick in the nuts or something like that, just so you can get the rebound, and maybe, you know, even if you got to get a flagrant foul, maybe you could put him in the, you know, emergency room or something like that for the quarter, and you have at least a chance to get a rebound in this situation. Now you got to worry about not only him, but Al Horford on top of it, because he decided to leave us to go and join those boys. You know, it's literally a situation where you're thinking, okay, Enes Kanter is who you're going to have to depend on. Horford, at least last season, you had him, somebody who could actually, at least you could say he had a chance. You know, Horford had something where he was like the kryptonite for Embiid. Embiid was in there, you threw Horford in there, and you had a chance. Horford now is working with Embiid. So you got nothing whatsoever to stop Embiid. And then we all knew with Antetokounmpo, you had nothing at all. Horford didn't know what to do with him. Baines didn't know what to do with him. You know, Morris didn't know what to do with him. So when you went up with Milwaukee, you had no chance at all to stop Antetokounmpo. He was free to do whatever he wanted. It was all basically, what could you do on the other end in this situation to basically, you know, negate the impact and basically make it, you know, a similar situation. Yet, look at what we're seeing, Igor. Training camp is right around the corner. This past Monday night, Enes Kanter is on Monday Night Raw, pinning the 24/7 champion and then getting pinned the same night. He's taking his shirt off, revealing his Boston Celtics jersey. Do you think you could actually be focusing on getting ready for the actual season rather than going and showing off your jersey to a bunch of New Yorkers in this situation? You're going to be critical to the Boston Celtics season. Don't be showing off. Yeah, you want to go ahead and actually show off your jersey? Do it the first night you go basically facing the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets in this situation, and basically prove something to the Boston fans. Don't be doing it on a WWE program, in my opinion. You know, but Matt Stevens, now you got to depend on Williams, who now has an ankle injury. You know, the fact that he's got an ankle injury just proves, who knows, his bones, Igor, might be made of glass. So we may have to worry about that even more during the regular season. You got to be depending on a bunch of other rookies now. You know, unless Danny Ainge can strike some sort of deal and get a big-time big man or find somebody on the open market in this situation, you ain't got no one now that could actually go toe-to-toe with Horford and Embiid and Antetokounmpo and actually make yourself a legit threat to basically stop those guys from dunking on you left and right. So, yeah. We have to...
Now, Daniel, I totally agree with you. NBA writers that are so in love with Brad Popovich and Steve Kerr tactics, you know, that actually crushed on this World Cup, on the big stage. It was like total crush of these tactics on the big stage. And we saw the disappearing act of the Celtics in the playoffs with the small ball against the Bucks, like you mentioned. Now, we saw that Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, they used Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown as their centers. Marcus Smart was 4, Jaylen Brown was 5 in these ultra small ball lineups. It worked against some teams. Team USA, for example, beat Turkey in dramatical game. Against Brazil, it worked to the point. But when you face the team that is playing big ball against your small ball on the European competition, you will hit the wall 9 out of 10 times. Now, one USA writer, Alex Kungu, he said that you could probably try to outrun the small ball, the big ball lineup of your opponent, shoot them out of the game, space them, and make the coach to adjust to you. But Daniel, the question, didn't USA team try to do that against the France and Serbia and didn't succeed? Because Serbia played big also with Boban Marjanovic and Nikola Jokic, plus Milutinov. So didn't we saw the USA team with the two genius coaches tried to crush the big ball with small ball? And how did it work? It worked against the small ball. Actually, it is proven what you and I are talking, that when you put, of course, the NBA writers are not giving up. They say that in the NBA the court is bigger, the rules are different. You have 3 seconds rule that is preventing Rudy Gobert to camp the paint. But all of that is excuses, in my opinion, because it will be proven. And also to remind you and dear listeners or viewers that also to remind that Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, they had the choice. They gave up De'Aaron Fox. They practically showed De'Aaron Fox that he is not wanted. They gave up Bam Adebayo. They gave up Jonathan Isaac. They didn't want to include in the team specific type of players. But Daniel, what is the key of success of the small ball of Warriors? Okay, we explained. You need pace and space. Space with the shooting. Pace with the running. So, what is the key? You need big, athletic guys who can run the floor, can guard the multiple positions. But you need hierarchy in the team. Exactly what USA team didn't have and the Celtics team didn't have the last year. Right? Hierarchy in the team. What does that mean? Let me tell you. One of the reasons why Warriors small ball lineup prior to Kevin Durant signing with the Warriors. Because how can we call the Kevin Durant lineup small ball lineup? You know, Kevin Durant is not small. So, I mean, technically he is forward, but he is like power forward or actually 6'11" center. So the lineup with Kevin Durant is not small, okay? He has wingspan higher than some centers. Anyway, the reason why the small ball with Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Sean Livingston, who play one more player, guard, and Draymond Green, prior to Kevin Durant coming. I forgot who was in that small ball lineup. It doesn't matter. They have Draymond. They have two historically good shooters, 42-44%, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, okay? They have pace and space. Plus, on top of that, Draymond, extraordinary defender, who can run to the guard, chase the guard from the perimeter, then run back to the paint and protect the paint and prevail the paint, right? But one of the reasons, hierarchy. What does that mean? That means that practically Steve Kerr told the role players, I repeat, the role players, this is very important, the role players, they practically banned them to shoot volume, shoot for threes, okay? In other words, Draymond Green had the red light to shoot whenever he receives the ball at the perimeter. Sean Livingston, Andrew Bogut, Andrew Gala, those guys have moratorium on shooting because Steve Kerr wants hierarchy in the team and he wants the best shooters to take the most of the shoots, which sounds logical, right? You don't want Marcus Smart, who is shooting 30 to 35% for three, to shoot 7 threes per game. You want Kyrie Irving to shoot you 8 threes per game because he is your best three-point shooter. It sounds logical, right? But in Brad Stevens' system, Daniel, everybody is allowed to shoot whenever and however they want. For example, we heard horrible announcements, in my opinion, that Marcus Smart is ready to shoot whenever he wants. Okay, I could tolerate one player, but Enes Kanter is preparing to be the volume three-point shooter because he saw Aaron Baines is doing that. And what is this telling you, Daniel? How can we establish hierarchy of the team and chemistry on the team when you have 4 or 5 players requiring the ball? Maybe to give 5 balls so that everybody can be happy, right? But this is impossible. So hierarchy is something the team USA lacked. Against the France, some players that didn't need to shoot the ball, they shooted the ball. That's what I noticed. USA is not the best three-point shooting team. They lost Tatum, who should be good three-point shooter. He was not blistering last year, neither. But they still have Kemba Walker, 36%, but not bad. They still have Donovan Mitchell. They still have Harrison Barnes. They still have Brook Lopez, who can hit the shots. And Kemba Walker, Donovan Mitchell, especially that duo. that duo didn't shoot the most important shots for the USA team. Marcus Smart, until he was healthy, I mean, while he was playing, Marcus Smart took whatever shots he wants. So it seems like Marcus Smart, from Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich, he had every single right to do whatever he wants. This could be good on the one side, but bad on the other side. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't want your role players to shoot the last shot for your team, right?
Well, like you said, this year it's going to come down, in my opinion, to basically, you think about it, 4 critical guys. Tatum, Brown, Smart, well, 5 in this case. Tatum, Brown, Smart, Kemba Walker, and Hayward. Those are going to be your 5 guys. But you could say, in a way, maybe 4. Smart might be more of a the distant one out in this situation.
I feel that way. Count Smart as a 6th guy, and count Enes Kanter as a center, and Gordon Hayward power forward, or Jaylen Brown, whatever. But practically the small ball, right? Or the team without power forward. That's the Celtics next year.
Yeah, but Enes Kanter will be, like you said, the big guy. But offensively, it's gonna come down to those 5. Marcus Smart will provide more offense for this team than what Enes Kanter will be doing. I think Enes Kanter, you can say, is going to be he's going to be playing more of a Kendrick Perkins role in this situation for this team. Kendrick Perkins, you can remember when he was here, tried to play more of a defensive role as a big man. There were games where he put up maybe 2 points, 4 points in this situation. He didn't really put up anything at times. There was games where he put up actually nothing. He put up 0 points and maybe like 10 rebounds or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we found games like that where he put up nothing at all. So we're gonna see those 5 guys being the ones that you see trying to put up most of the offense in this situation. So I won't be surprised if Marcus Smart's trying to do a lot of shooting in this case. It's gonna come down to those 5 guys. The question is gonna be in this situation, for one, as you said, Igor, because only 5 guys can be on the court at one time, and if Enes Kanter is going to be part of the starting lineup, who's going to be the odd man out of those 5 guys? How is this going to work? We all remember, you people cannot deny it, Celtic fans. We all remember what happened just this past season, the fighting that took place because of the fact that Gordon Hayward returned, and Kyrie Irving and Hayward were the ones that were supposed to start in this situation alongside Al Horford and Marcus Morris, and should I say either Marcus Morris or Aaron Baines, and that rubbed the wrong way with Terry Rozier and Jaylen Brown, and look what it caused. Of course, yes, you had the fact that Kyrie Irving didn't treat a few of the guys the right way, which also basically caused a few things to go south with this team. But Terry Rozier admitted it. He didn't want the starting role to go back to Kyrie Irving. He felt that he earned it and wanted Kyrie Irving to earn it back. He admitted it to the team. He admitted it to the public. Of course, fans didn't want to basically, you could say, fans didn't go the route of getting on his case. They got on Kyrie Irving's case for it in this situation. Come down to that. You have in this situation Walker, Tatum, Brown, Smart, Hayward. 5 guys in this situation. Only 4 of them can start in this case. So, like I said, Igor, Brad Stevens, we only have a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I believe it is, before training camp starts, and we still don't have no idea how this issue with the starting lineup is going to be in this situation.
If I'm correct, training camp starts and we have preseason games, right?
That could easily derail the season before it even starts. The four guys that we ended up looking at in this situation, you know, the four guys we saw on the FIBA World Cup got together all along, you know, along together without any problem. But at the same time, if you think about it, Igor, did we really see those four guys play on the court together at all? No. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that happen. You know, so did that really help us answer the question? That's the issue. We were all hoping that would take place, and Greg Popovich didn't actually help the Celtics when it came to that. You know, so Brad Stevens is going to have a major dilemma when training camp opens, because I wouldn't be surprised if we see Brad Stevens come training camp still have some of the major issues plaguing this team that plagued us the end of last season. That guys like Tatum, guys like Brown are still saying, if I'm not in the starting lineup, then I got an issue with you, coach. I got an issue with the roster. I got an issue with Danny Ainge. And basically, I am not willing to coexist with the rest of the team unless you let me start and get me the minutes I want.
Right. My point was Daniel, that if Brad Stevens utilizes, and I really hope that Brad Stevens will get to his senses, you know, if Brad Stevens utilizes a small ball lineup or ultra small ball lineup with Marcus Smart on 4 and Brown on 5, we are screwed. We are doomed. And he could play the small ball from time to time. I don't have anything against it. If it works, then great. But it cannot work against everybody. We saw how Rudy Gobert demolished the small ball with Marcus Smart on 4 and, Brown on 5. Then when Vincent Collet, coach of France, he tried to adjust. He was also stupid during the game, you know. France had the lead 10 plus points. Then he substituted, Gobert, gave him rest. But he tried to adjust with, what is his name, ex-Red Star player. I will remember, not Shane Larkin, but Matthias Lesor. Okay, Matthias Lesor, underside center. He went small and adjusted to USA small ball. But do you know what happened then, Daniel? During that adjustment, USA made run and turned the result and had like 7 points lead or something, you know. Then Collet get to his senses, return to the big ball lineup, get back Fournier, Gobert. Our boy Poirier didn't play at all for the reasons unknown. Matthias Lesor and Frank Nikitlina, they had the advantage in the rotations. But again, he get to his senses, Collet, and get back to the big ball, and France destroyed, USA, who played particularly small in the fourth period, you know. So what I have to object to Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr. Okay, your stars gave up the training camp, right? But nobody can persuade me, Daniel, that USA team could not call Jonathan Isaac, De'Aaron Fox, instead of Kemba running the show. De'Aaron Fox as a starting point guard. Jonathan Isaac, Bam Adebayo, you know. You call the guy and as a role player, and you tell him, we want you, we need you, we called you just because we need a rebounder. We don't need you to drain the threes. We need from you to rebound, to guard, okay? To give us the athletic wing. We have scorers. We need you as a role player, okay? That kind of players you can select from NBA teams, okay? You have young guys, athletic guys who can play multiple positions, 3, 4, 5 in the NBA, that are Americans, that I mentioned, 2 of them. So what I say, Daniel, it could be better selection even without top 30 players in the USA team, okay? And the second team, it is proven that small ball doesn't work. Like Andrew Vernon said, my biggest concern of this team is that this Celtics team currently constructed is constructed to be copycat of the Golden State Warriors small ball team with small ball lineup as primary lineup, or at least 50% of the time lineup. But we don't have personnel to play successfully that kind of style of playing, That is conundrum that we are the second year in a row. And that is what I'm afraid of, okay? And another thing that I'm afraid of are injuries. Tatum, then first Smart, then Tatum. Of course, I don't regret for watching them playing for the USA. I want to watch them every single time to play for USA. But I'm afraid of the injuries because sometimes bad injuries happen, during those international actions. Not only with USA players, but with every single players in every single selection, right? To object to Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr. Okay, your stars gave up the training camp, right? But nobody can persuade me, Daniel, that USA team could not call Jonathan Isaac, De'Aaron Fox, instead of Kemba running the show. De'Aaron Fox as a starting point guard. Jonathan Isaac, Bam Adebayo, you call the guy and as a role player and you tell him, we want you, we need you, we called you just because we need a rebounder. We don't need you to drain the threes. We need from you to rebound, to guard, okay? To give us the athletic wing. We have scorers. We need you as a role player, okay? That kind of players you can select from NBA teams, okay? You have young guys, athletic guys who can play multiple positions, 3, 4, 5 in the NBA, that are Americans, that I mentioned, 2 of them. So what I say, Daniel, it could be better selection even without top 30 players in the USA team, okay? And the second team, it is proven that small ball doesn't work. Like Andrew Vernon said, my biggest concern of this team is that this Celtics team currently constructed is constructed to be copycat of the Golden State Warriors small ball team with small ball lineup as primary lineup, or at least 50% of the time lineup. But we don't have personnel to play successfully that kind of style of playing, That is conundrum that we are the second year in a row. And that is what I'm afraid of, okay? And another thing that I'm afraid of are injuries. Tatum, then first Smart, then Tatum. Of course, I don't regret for watching them playing for the USA. I want to watch them every single time to play for USA, but I'm afraid of injuries because sometimes bad injuries happen, during those international actions. Not only with USA players, but with every single players in every single selection, right?
Yep, like you said, the risk they end up taking, but at least, in this case, we know that Brad Stevens, was willing to accept it and felt that, at least, as long as the injury is not something that is really severe, that would take over a year to basically recover from, he feels the rewards are greater than the risk in this situation. So as long as he's willing to accept it, then the fans should be willing to accept it as well in this situation. So then, fine.
Okay, Daniel. What are we looking forward in the Celtics coverage and Celtics Talk Radio coverage? Training camp opening October. Luckily for USA and Serbian fans, because both selections finished their competitions today on the World Cup. We have order from 5 to 8 and down. Number 5 Serbia, number 6 Czech Republic, number 7 USA, number 8 Poland. We are waiting games for the first place, the finals, and the game for the third place. In the big World Cup finals, we will see Argentina and Spain, two similar school of basketball, and for the third place, you will see the France against Australia. I must say that Australia lost from Spain after double overtime. Margasol was fantastic. The officials were horrible, and Daniel, they missed the call, or they fabricated the call at the end that probably decided the winner of the game against Australia for Spain, of course. And Andrew Bogut was calling out NBA player and Australian player. He was actually calling out the officials. The FIBA officials, Daniel, you're not familiar, probably American people and Celtics fans. You have two kind of officials in the Europe. You have FIBA officials and ULEB officials. You have kind of war between FIBA and ULEB in the previous 5+ years, or even more. What does that mean? ULEB officials are quality ones. Those officials are officials that are whistling in EuroLeague games. But those officials didn't participate World Cup. Why? Because, again, FIBA and ULEB are in the war. So practically, ULEB is banning their officials to appear in the FIBA competitions and the otherwise. That is why FIBA is creative, so you could see the officials like Glisic from Serbia. For example, Glisic from Serbia, he is a good guy. But he's third official from the third class official, from the third list, He's whistling the Serbian league, the Serbian third league, Serbian second, third league, whatever. Let's say that way. And also, you could see the officials from exotic countries like Mexico, Philippine Islands, the African countries, Australia, I really adore every single place, but in the World Cup, you need officials that are quality ones and with the experience. And we didn't have that in the World Cup. So this was my rant against FIBA officials. They suck, But Australia lost in double overtime against Spain, and Argentina is playing, I don't know how to describe, fantastic. Luis Scola, he is indestructible. He has 39 years and he's dominating. So it will be interesting finals. And from our side, Saturday, 28 September, 6 p.m. Eastern till 8 p.m. Eastern live, 2 hours of Celtics Talk Radio. If you listen us on demand, you can hear the additional bonus third hour. This will be the last show prior to the training camp opening. In this show, we will do similar to the top topics that we covered on this video chat, but this time, Daniel, with the guests. So, summary of the World Cup and the Celtics in the World Cup. Are you worried the way USA ended? Is this the preview of the Celtics playoff 2020? Can we make that parallel or not? John Karalis thinks that we can, and some other writers. Andy Vernon, our guest here, he thinks that we can draw the parallel, and I try to do that between USA team and the Celtics next year, okay? And that we should be concerned about the Celtics games that we saw in China. I mean, the games of the 4 Celtics players that we saw playing for USA in China. We should be concerned. Those, and of course, training camp opening, the Celtics new season, we have excellent audios for you that will enlighten you USA elimination in the quarterfinals from France. Again, that is the reason for you, dear listeners, to stay with us. And when the preseason starts October, we will have more shows. Isn't that, Daniel?
Yeah, like you said, training camp's right around the corner. It's been a crazy summer for the Celtics, and their fan base in this situation. We got plenty more for you in this situation. Like you said, some interesting audios you were able to find, Igor. So we'll be talking to you 2 weeks from today, ladies and gentlemen, at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find the link to the show on the We Bleed Green Celtics Fan Forum group page or the Celtics Talk Radio fan page on Facebook, either one. Or you can find us on blogtalkradio.com, Celtics Talk Radio. You can find us through the Google search by just searching Celtics Talk Radio in this case. So we will talk to you, as we said, 2 weeks from tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We will have the link up for you at that point. Igor is making the arrangements with the guest in this situation. And again, training camp is right around the corner. We will have you updated on the latest news in regards to what's going on inside the group, along with the rest of the admin team. And we look forward to the season.
Thank you, Daniel. I just want to add about what we were talking as conclusion. Brad Stevens and Greg Popovich, they have choice. Play big. You have 4 bigs on the Celtics roster. You have Taco Fall on your training camp roster. Play big. Try Robert Williams at 4. We don't have power forward. Don't be afraid to play big. And you have alternative. Do not say that you don't have alternative. you have alternative. We will explore that in the next show. It was live video chat number 45, final breakdown of the USA team and the World Cup and the Celtics in the USA team in the World Cup 2019 in China. USA defeated Poland. USA is 7th. Marcus Smart is hurt. Jayson Tatum is hurt. Not serious injuries, but small injuries. Jaylen Brown had solid tournament. Kemba Walker had solid tournament, more than solid tournament. Kemba Walker actually was second best player. I can tell that Donovan Mitchell was probably the best player in USA team, and Kemba Walker was one of two best players in the USA team. Jaylen Brown had a great tournament. Marcus Smart showed flashes. Tatum, prior to the injury, he showed flashes, and we should be optimistic about the young Celtics players, or four Celtics players, but at the same time, we should be worried about some things that we talk about, the tactical things, and the way that some things appear. We should be worried about the way how some things are repeating, just like flashes, just like copy paste the players from the last year, to this World Cup, and we really hope that the things will change in the tactical way and result way for our Celtics. That's all. I'm Igor Mitic. It was really pleasure to talk with you, Daniel, and it was really a pleasure to work for the Celtics Nation. Stay safe, root for your Celtics, and of course, if you are a fan of Patriots, root for the Patriots, Bruins, Red Sox, all Boston sports teams. So go Celtics until the next time. Daniel?
So again, we didn't get the whole thing in terms of winning it all, but there were a few good things that came out of it. I say especially the play of Kemba Walker. He's showing, at least early on here with this little tournament, that Danny Ainge at least made a good decision with signing him, and hopefully we'll be seeing even more good things from him in training camp that can show that he will be a keeper for the next few years with this team. Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens will have a few major decisions to make in training camp, and we will be discussing those decisions on our next show, as training camp will be opening up just a few days after that. So we'll talk to you all 2 weeks from today, 6 p.m. Eastern Time.